Hey y'all, good afternoon. As you can tell, I have a visitor today. He's not in school on Mondays. Olton still does 4-day weeks, so he came and came to work this morning. So
Showed up.
he showed up. But go ahead and talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Oh, I get to talk.
You get
Hey,
to talk
first off, I
today.
want to thank Kelly for stepping in. I've been, like I said, with the school back in, and even before school started, I was up in Bartlesville to a school resource officer school all week long, and which I just stayed up there because the classes were long classes. And then come back, went right back into school for the teachers got there. So she's done. I watch bits and clips of them here and there. When I don't have great online service there a lot of time places that I hang out. But she's done a great job, an outstanding job, and appreciate her stepping up and keeping us going, because I know a lot of you watch them or get on later on and watch them and things like that. She does an outstanding job. Today we're going to be in Deuteronomy chapter 31. Just to kind of preface this, we're going to focus on verse 8. But that Moses is giving instruction to the people. He says in verse 2, he's 120 years old, and I'm no longer able to lead you. The Lord has told me. He said, you're not going to cross the Jordan River. He's telling Moses you're not going over in there, which he already knew that. But the Lord's going to destroy the nations living there, and he's going to give the possession, and Joshua's going to lead them across the river, just as the Lord promised. And then he told them, don't be afraid, don't panic, for the Lord your God will personally go ahead of you, and he'll neither fail you nor abandon you. So Moses is giving them a little pep talk here and prepping them. Just because I'm fixing to die here, I'm not going to be able to go. It's going to be okay, because the same Lord that got us this far is going to get us on over there. You're just going to go with a different leader. Not me, it's going to be Joshua. Then in verse 7, Moses called for Joshua. So I think Moses was doing this to help Joshua out, because the Israelites, people get used to following
A person.
people, pastors a long time, and the next few pastors that's been there. I hope it don't hold true to form here when my days are done here, whenever that's going to be, that normally they'll go through 2 or 3 pastors before they find one. They keep, want to go back to, well, brother so-and-so did this. I saw this at First Baptist in Yale when Brother Warren Lehman's been a long time good guy. Brother Warren was a fine Christian man and pastor, and I went there as a teenager in high school, and everybody went, well, Brother Warren, when that pastor steps down, again, it's not his church.
That's
Even though they've been there 100 years, it's not their deal, it's the Lord's.
Right.
And I think Moses was, because they had led him out of Egypt, had seen all that, and had relied, even though they'd not always listened to Moses.
Right.
Moses got frustrated with them, as you can read in the Word, but now he's saying, all right, he called Joshua to step up here, and he told Joshua, be strong and courageous, for you will lead these people into the land that the Lord swore to their ancestors. You are the one who will divide it among them as the grants land. So he's telling them, you're going to do it. The children of Israel is watching this, as Moses was telling Joshua, you're going to do it. And Moses tells him, do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord will personally go ahead of you, and he will be with you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you. Now, this was a physical deal. They were going to take physical property, physical land.
Right.
Now, we're in a new covenant that doesn't do that now.
Right.
That it doesn't matter you're in China or Arkansas, God's still with you, God's still for you. But God also still goes ahead of us and prepares the way if we'll ask him to. And we'll lean not on our own understanding, but acknowledge him in all of our ways, and he will lead and guide and direct our paths.
Yes.
But you've got to allow him to do that. And I really think Joshua was probably nervous. I'm just trying to think. A lot of times I put myself in that place, not saying I'm no words greater Joshua, leader of Joshua's. I'm not saying that. But what would I do? In what I know of what I've been through and how I've led different things. I was the president of the school board at Yale for a while. I was on the Payne County Cattlemen's board a little bit off and on. Of course, been the pastor's church for 28 years, 27 years now. Different leadership roles and different things. I know that a lot of times it's very, very hard to leave a stubborn and obstinate people. Mm-hmm. When people want to do it their way, that exactly how they want to do it or how they get used to doing it. Because a lot of times their experience, though, is what's leading and guiding them by. When you come in, going to change that up from what they've experienced in the past. Right. It is hard, I get it. But I think also Moses was trying to boost Joshua's confidence, saying it's the Lord personally going to do this. Yeah. He is going for you. This ain't on your shoulders, Joshua, just like it's not on our shoulders. And I preached this too, not this Sunday because I didn't preach yesterday, but the Sunday before that, where Jesus said, come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I'll give you rest, and my burden is light, it's not heavy, I'm not going to give you a bunch more rules anymore. Jesus also tells us, don't worry, don't get scared, don't fret about things. You trust in God, believe in me as well. and all those things like that. So when we can do that, and we realize that God does still have a personal interest in us
Yes, he
as
does.
individuals, because our relationship now is not as a nation. That's why I'm not worried about what, as a nation, if U.S. does this, they got punished as a nation. Now God deals with the people as they deserve. Now, do we get fallout from when people do goofy stuff? Yes, we do. But it's an individual personal relationship now, and we have a
Yes,
personal
so
God
thankful for
still
that.
that wants to deal with us personally. So, Kelly, I know everybody's gone through a lot. It's not just me or Kelly. Everybody's got stuff they're dealing with,
Everybody you talk to,
hard things or stuff.
everybody.
And again, we can't compare our hards together. Well, my deal was worse than yours.
Yeah.
You don't know that. It might have been in some ways, but in other
Everybody's
ways
heart is hard.
that it wasn't. So again, it's not you going through it; it's them. So when we have these struggles and trials, or we're up against overwhelming forces or odds, or it doesn't smell like it, look like it, taste like it, feel like it, any way this is ever going to work out, know that God is working.
Yes, he
Know that He's still in there doing. So when you read this, Kelly, what's this say to you?
It's just a good promise to me. It's a promise that he's going to go before me and he's going to prepare the way and he's never going to leave me and he's always going to be there and he's not going to let me fall. Is he going to correct me? Yes. Sometimes I need correction and sometimes it hurts.
Sometimes, okay, yeah. It's called self-care. Okay, never mind, sorry.
Oh, you're going to get off on a tangent. You better stop. But even in that correction, in that hard, he's still there with me. He hasn't left me. He didn't save me to set me in my recliner and say, okay, you just sit here and you do this until it's time for me to send my son back. He saved me to change me, and he continually changes me, and I'm so thankful for that change, and I'm so thankful the way that he's doing what he's doing. This was one of the verses that we talked about last night in our women's group. I asked each woman to write down a verse, and this was one of them. And mine was in Proverbs. Lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways, acknowledge the Lord, and he will direct your paths. That is because I can't understand what he's doing. I don't get it. I'm not grasping it very well, and some days it's really hard, but I also know he has given me so many verses to speak life over myself, and I am finally feeling his presence very strongly again, where I had turned my back and I had said I don't even care anymore. He has brought me back to where I need to be, and I'm so thankful that he changes me and moves me.
That's right. And the thing with this is about, as we're hesitant to move forward, God is still going to keep gently. Now, he's not going to make us,
right,
but he will nudge us. He will send people, he'll send circumstances to nudge us forward, like Joshua here was a little uncertain. This is why those of you that's mature in the Lord, it's important that you gently nudge and pray for these younger Christians. I'm not talking in age, I'm talking in maturity in the Spirit.
Right.
To nudge them along, know that God's still for you. God's not against you.
Right.
And I said this Sunday about David and Saul. I've been reading a little bit, studying on King David and Saul and why God did how he did with Saul. Saul didn't do a lot of the stuff that David did.
Right.
Saul didn't go out and murder somebody. Saul didn't go out and take another man's wife and have him murdered, all these things. But yet David is still a man called after God's own heart, because Saul was willfully disobedient, wasn't sorry when he got caught. He made excuses, and he covered it. David tried to cover it up there for a little while, getting Uriah killed and all that. But then once he saw it, he said, man, my sin is ever before me. He had a very humble, contrite heart to cry out to God that Saul didn't have. And that's what all through the Bible, God looks at the heart of man.
Yes, he does.
And if we'll keep moving into the promised land, the land that God, not a physical land, but a spiritual land. And here's the thing, I read a deal this morning on Facebook. It said, God never called us to sit around and wait on the rapture, but to keep advancing the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Right.
And I've got a lot of preacher friends that I talk to on chat rooms, on Messenger, different things. Some of them is really good, some is up there, but a lot of them are just sitting around saying, well, we're fixing to hear the trump sound, we're fixing to be out of here. I'm ready to get out of here, don't get me wrong. I'm come, Lord Jesus, come, But until that time comes, I'm going to go work and serve. I had a gentleman ask me yesterday after church and said that, man, why are you back over there at that school? That's a lot of time and stuff and blah, 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 blah. And I said, because that's where I felt like God put me over there. And I made a difference over there in that, and the kids, talking to them already, all of them come up and, give me a hug, shake hand, thank you for coming back. Man, good to see you again. And already been able to help a couple of them with some issues and things like that, And I didn't that all, I didn't ever plan or think or inspire or want to be a school resource officer. That just wasn't. But then when Chad approached me with that, I got to praying about it and talking about it, and started out me and Jeff, and then Jeff went to Kellyville, and it was just me, and I finished out the year, and then went back this year. But I see God's hand all over that.
Amen.
Do I get tired at the end of the day? Does my back, I got a jacked up back and some vertebrae jacked up? Yeah, it does. But God gives me strength to get through it, and I go through it, and that. And it's also opened up some other doors and avenues of ministry with some other people and other things. I know that God's working, and we just got to not be afraid to do what this verse 8, I'm going to read it again before we go. Don't be afraid or discouraged. God's personally going ahead of you. Notice that He's going to be with us, and God's not going to fail you. But you may be not going in to possess the land and run a bunch of people out and take over their homes, houses that they've done. But you may be going through a medical problem. You may be going through a financial problem. You may be going through a marital problem. You may be going through with your kids' addiction. I don't know what you're going through that's got you a little bit scared or hesitant. But again, remember what this says. Don't be afraid or discouraged. Things are very discouraging.
They are.
I've allowed. Notice I said the devil didn't do it. I allowed him to get in and discourage me in some areas and things I didn't feel like should have happened in some things, and they wasn't fair. There are some things that's happened to me personally and in my very own family that just flat out wasn't right in any way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
But again, I can't let that discourage me, because God's not going to fail me where my family has and when people in my family has and all these different things like that. It doesn't matter. God still personally got an interest in me, and God cares about me. So He's not going to fail me, nor He's going to abandon me. I know a lot of times the enemy likes to isolate us, get us, nobody cares about me, nobody loves me, nobody's here for me.
Party.
Wham, wham, wham. And you may be correct. Maybe nobody does. Maybe your family has treated you like dirt, has thrown you out, threw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. I get it. I understand it's not fun. It's not easy. But if we'll go back and just remember what God said and take God for His word. And here we go. Quit just loving God. Learn to, with your love for Him, trust Him. Because love won't get you through them tough times. It's going to take your trust. Because you're going to start questioning His love for you if you don't trust Him. And so when you trust Him, you know it's all good and it's all going to go through there. So everything's going to be great and good. So
we have somebody at the door. So I'm going to go get the door, and because I know what they're here for, and Mike will finish up with you guys.
I might still be preaching.
You might still be here. I'm sorry, guys.
That's the bad things about being live and not taping this stuff. But again, know that God loves you. Know that God cares about you. My brother Marcus Torkson has a really cool deal. If you're friends with him on Facebook, if not, friend him, hit him up. He puts some really, really good stuff. Little quick video things on Facebook. That's not my cup of tea. I'll post stuff, maybe share something. I'm not big into the video deal. He does an excellent, outstanding job of that. So check out Marcus's post on Facebook about today, about for letting tomorrow go, and just taking today at what today is as a gift, and going doing the best. Don't let tomorrow's issues come up and ruin your today. So he had a really cool, and he's got a lot of cool stuff on his Facebook post and social media stuff. So check out Marcus Torkelson's stuff on that. He's been a blessing to me. Marcus and I, he's not somebody I grew. Can you get in there? Yeah. He's not somebody I grew up with. He's not somebody that I have spent a lot of time with, but it feels like I've known him for my whole life. He's become a very dear and close brother to me, and I always enjoy. He always sends me really cool little video messages, I guess, through my phone, and they're always a blessing, and I always look forward to getting those from him. So again, it's just taking today, face today's battles, learn from yesterday's mistakes and failures and all that if you have them there, and just move on for today. Then tomorrow will get here. Like Jesus said, don't worry about it. Don't fret over it. Tomorrow will have its own, let's get through today's. And I know it's hard. I know life gets hard. I know it does. I was watching a documentary on the French Foreign Legion. I figured out how to run YouTube on the TV thing on my own on that. And I got on the French Foreign Legion. Man, them guys go through some stuff to be. They're not even Frenchmen, most of them. Come there to start over. They get a new identity and different things. If they're not wanted, like for murder or something, they won't take them. But the things those go through to defend France or France's honor and all that stuff like that. And to get it started, I'm thinking, man, Jesus ain't asked us to defend His honor. He don't need His honor defended. He just asked us to be obedient to Him. If you love me, obey me and do that. So whenever you're going through life and you're having these hard times, don't quit, don't give up.
Yes.
Keep running the race with endurance with your eyes fixed on him. And I promise you, if when you look for it, you'll see him there every step of the way because he is always, always there. So God bless y'all. Thank you to our sponsors. Appreciate all of our social media sponsors. Thank you for all those that have given to this to keep this thing going. Again, thanks to Kelly for stepping up while I'm gone. I won't be here. A few times we might get on late, but normally by the time I get here at 3:30 to 4 o'clock, sometimes later, sometimes 4:15, there's a list of stuff that people has called, things that need done. By the time we do all them, it's time. And she's been here all day already. I want to keep her here till 6 or 7 o'clock at night. A lot of times she does stay with that, but we just don't get on here. She's already done it anyway, so y'all don't need to see me back on here. But anyhow, God bless y'all. Remember, keep the faith, keep fighting a good fight of faith. Know that God loves you, God's for you, God's not against you. And when you start thinking, well, I've messed this up too bad, go back and look at David. Go back and check out some things that David pulled, but yet God still called him a man after his own heart. And Jesus' lineage traces right back to David. So God bless y'all. Hope you're having a great, great Monday. Thank you guys yesterday for the service. In that, you guys again did an outstanding job on the love offering that we took up for Jim and what was her name? Susan. That was here yesterday. I didn't know those people that I took on that. I actually had forgot I'd even booked that because he called me plumb back in January. I totally forgot about it till the other day.
Yeah.
And then another pastor had called me about it and stuff, and then Jim had called. So anyhow, God bless y'all is all I can say on that.
Yeah.
Thank you for the help and things that you guys did yesterday. Feeding the teachers tomorrow. Thank you guys that stepped up and said they'd come help serve or bring other food and desserts for them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Then men, don't forget our men's meeting's been moved from Mondays to Tuesdays at 7 o'clock. And so we will eat Tuesday night. So Kelly ordered some extra food that she ordered for the teachers. So guys, we are going to eat Tuesday night. Spread that out. I'll be sending some text out to some of you team leaders and get that around to you guys that will be eating. So probably won't even need dessert, I don't think, will we? Or maybe
You will need desserts,
we'll need dessert.
most likely,
Okay.
yes.
So we'll get that out. I'll holler at a few, probably Brother Bob or Jeff, Brian, some guys, Billy, be pushing that out to the team. So anyhow, God bless y'all. Don't forget, if you signed up for that first aid class, that's this Saturday kicking off at
And
8
I
o'clock.
need your paperwork.
Yeah.
You can email it to me or drop it by the church, whatever you need to do. That's what was at the door, was somebody dropping off their paperwork. So I need that so I can send it to Keith before he comes down here or up here. So I need that. I need your paperwork, please.
You know what I was saying a while ago? My war hawks match your shirt.
Yeah.
I got to looking at that.
Look at
It
that.
just jumped out at me. And I looked, I don't know why it did, but it did. These are really cool war hawks. This is my Jack Carr with my Jack Carr T-shirt. So if you haven't watched the Terminal List, check that out.
It
if
is a
you
good
hadn't read,
show, I have to admit. I even watched it and I liked it.
and Kelly's not a big shoot 'em up, bang
I'm
bang type
not.
of movie person.
But I did watch the Extraction and Extraction 2 and liked both of those as well. So I don't know.
You want to see some good gunfights, watch Extraction or Extraction 2. They get some gunfights on that. If you hadn't checked out any of Jack's book, he's got a podcast, Danger Close. Marcus has been on that podcast, on his Danger Close podcast. So check that out. Good guys. Jack was a Navy SEAL for, 20 plus years, I think, on that. So that's a really cool movie, Terminal List. And got a little bit of truth to it on some things. So check it out if you hadn't watched it. I think it's on Amazon, ain't it? Or what's it on?
It's on
Or Netflix.
Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
So anyhow, God bless y'all. I hope that you have a great, great Monday. If you need us, holler at us, 918-399-5956. Is that right? On the phone number. Give us a shout. You're going to get Kelly. You're not going to get me. If you need me, best way to get me is text me. My number is 405-570-7616. Text me. And please, when you text me, unless I text you a lot, for some reason my phone, it doesn't say blocked. It just comes up all zeros. And I don't know why it does that. And I have no clue to who I'm talking to sometimes. Even if you're in my phone, it will do that at times. So, if you could just say, hey, this is Billy Bob or Mary Jo or whatever, and I need such and such, and if you need me to call you, I can. Even if I'm at school, I at work, and I have times if I'm not, sometimes I can't get right to it, but normally I can take a few minutes and give you a phone call or text you if you need something or whatever. But best things to call the church, text the church. Kelly, 99.99% of the time, I'm going to ask her or whatever about it. She's going to handle it anyways. But if it's something that you need to visit with me about, don't hesitate to call me or text me and let me know that you need something, and if we can get it handled, even though I'm not per se here in the office. So God bless y'all. Remember, it's faith over fear, Christ over crisis, and you can remain calm in the chaos.